Welcome back to Child of Light. So now, after defeating the boss, time to go to the Tree of Four. Oh.
Hello there.
What is that thing? This is my favorite spot too. Ajinoto, you can be this guy.
Sure.
A rock? Sure.
Pardon me, do you need help?
It's a rock biter.
A rock biter?
No.
Oh, it's a head. Okay.
You seem to be rather disassembled.
Oh no, it's Knack. Run away.
Run away.
Just a simple fall.
Okay.
I can take care of myself.
You're small around.
Sorry.
Are you my brother?
Your chest, arms, and legs are where?
That's a good question, Aurora.
Oh, in the thorns, 3 pieces split from one another.
So basically, we have to find them. For the record, this is actually a DLC side quest.
Yeah, for some, well, because Ubisoft was still being Ubisoft that particular year, 2014, they relegated a single character as DLC.
That's in an
I
RPG.
think I bought all the DLC when I got this game.
Now, on one hand, it's not a big deal because it's entirely optional. It doesn't have a complete impact on the story. But on the other, it's still a character, and it's kind of canon. If there was something like a fighting game that gets updated constantly and gets like stuff like that, I will kind of understand. But an RPG with a story that it's set in stone from the get-go, and it's not even one of those things like an extra episode later on. I think it was even day one DLC, so it was clearly something that was cut away and put as DLC. To be honest, well, the price is not that big anyway, so the damage is minimal.
But
I guess.
yeah, a whole character added to an RPG for DLC? That is weird.
Why are you so stubborn?
Because
Well, it's
I'm
a
a
rock lady.
Yeah.
Waiting for a miracle is silly.
The
You hear that, Lanil? Sorry. I had to get that out of my system.
Just don't worry, Pedro. It's gone. She's gone for now.
We carry him to find his 3 pieces.
I hope he won't get dizzy.
There we go.
We're not gonna throw him around. I don't see why he would get dizzy.
Well, it's because
we
we're
managed to get all
flying.
his marks back and save him. We get an
Which
extra
is
party
really
member.
easy.
Yeah, it's really easy. So you can get an extra party member. So let's do so.
Yay. I may get the idea. I may think that Ubisoft got this idea from Mass Effect 3 because even that had a day 1 DLC for a character, but well, with the exception that in Mass Effect 3, that said character was actually really important to the plot. Fucking Javik. But that, I guess, at least in this case, the damage was minimal and everything. Still, if they make another title, like not a sequel that tells a different story, but still a sequel to this, I will strongly encourage to not do this again, please.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays...
I'm usually really open-minded with DLC practices. Jova knows what I'm talking about. But these look silly even for my taste.
Yeah, and as of now, taking inspiration from Mass Effect 3 in certain areas is not the best thing to do.
Yep.
Also, anyway, a cool thing that I forgot if Pedro showed in the previous part, but other than being a really good healer, Rubella can actually really be good for the attacking role. She's surprisingly a combat medic which excels at her job. She's not the best, she doesn't have the best attack stat, but she's incredibly fast, agile, and has a decent strength for a healer.
She's actually my favorite party member, like I said.
Yeah, this means that she can get her turn really fast, and depending on her position, she can easily dodge attacks directed to her, hit incredibly hard despite her roll, and defend quickly enough if like the enemy is really close to attacking. So she's very versatile in situations where you're really tight on time, especially with some particular boss fights.
You got a skill point, so let's use it. Let's see. What?
Usually for the skill points, almost all of them require only 1 point. Only the final part
The more
of
powerful
the branches
skills, yeah.
require just 2 of them. It's not a big deal.
Actually, there are ones that actually require 3.
Oh, I think the very last ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot.
Is that, well, it's still at the very least the skill tree actually does diverge right from the beginning, unlike
Yeah.
Mac 2's skill tree, which, to give you an idea too, the
It's
way
very
Mac 2,
scripted, I guess.
yes, it is. You cannot go to. You only have one branch open at the beginning, and you have to get all the skills on that branch for the next branch to open. Which kind of destroys the whole purpose of a skill tree, but whatever.
Yeah.
There you go.
Spiders. Also, this introduces, I think this stage particularly introduces also the spying enemy. Well, we're a bit also in the previous one, but I don't remember Pedro showing them. Essentially, they're a bit more faster and they can cast speed magic on the other ally, on themselves and the other allies in order to make their turns arrive sooner enough. So, but the turn off is that they are really fragile and they don't have much HP. So you may want to get down them first.
Makes sense.
The good thing about this game, one of the good things about this game's gameplay is that each enemy is not only diversified enough, but not just in appearance, but in its moveset. Some of them have relatively basic, but others are pretty diversified, so you understand what you're getting into it just by a couple of fights. There you go. The heal all attacks can be really good to stop multiple enemies, but at the same time they are relatively very slow to pull off, as even the game tells you. So unless you stun enemies with Igniculus, you will probably get targeted as a result if you don't get there enough in time, and you will lose your turn. So once again, check the bar constantly and decide what to do according to it.
Indeed. And there you go, dead.
Yeah, the enemies also have vulnerability to elements, but I generally didn't care much. Mostly because the whole Oculi thing to me was useful only to get the light elements ones.
Usually, what I usually do is I have Aurora be light elemental because, well,
Yeah.
she's a child of light.
It's fitting.
Not to mention that makes her incredibly useful against the final boss anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I usually make Rebel a fire elemental. She looks red, so I guess it fits. As for the wizard, I usually make him lightning elemental. For the rock, I actually usually like to make him water elemental. Don't ask me why. It's just
Mighty Glacier.
I'm sorry, what, Jova? Could you repeat that?
You made him your Mighty Glacier.
Yeah, I guess you can say that. Anyway, yeah, much like in say Pokemon, there are also items that boost your stats, like an HP boost and a magic attack boost, an attack boost, defense boost, so on and so forth. So, and they're hidden all over the world, so it's always a good idea to explore every nook and cranny to see what you can find.
Some of them can only be reached by Igniculus, so even if you just move over to them, can collect them. Although I don't.
Sorry,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Igniculus can actually open treasure chests for you, except if it's a treasure chest that has a lever that needs to be pulled. If those have to be opened by Aurora, but aside from that, Igniculus can open treasure chests for you if you don't feel like going into the chest.
Yeah, and there are some treasure chests like they resemble gems that only Igniculus can help by shining on them.
Yeah, the blue ones.
Yeah. When it comes to the boosters, I usually didn't care much and just dumped all of them on Aurora because it's an essential party member anyway, so you just keep her constantly.
Mm-hmm. Aurora is actually the best. Well, maybe. I actually have,
the only thing she does, well, she's the only one with a counter that can learn a counter move. She has light elemental spells, which are essential, and a very good attack power, and overall good stats in general. The only thing she doesn't have are healing spells or mobility spells or buffing, debuffing. So that's why the other party member slot is reserved for.
There you go. There's one.
Yeah, I still don't like that much the idea of controlling only 2 party members, because I'm usually even on the more minimal RPG, I'm usually used to control at least 3 party members. Only 2 seems to be very lucky, especially considering sometimes you get outnumbered very easily by the enemies.
Mm-hmm.
But,
my guess is, for
yeah,
the sake of difficulty balancing, because the game is not that hard if you know what you're doing. I was always able. I never actually died in this game, to give an idea.
Neither.
So my guess is the enemies outnumbering was the way of making sure the game was at the very least not too easy.
Besides, there is a mechanic very similar to Final Fantasy X, where you can swap your allies. When your turn comes, you can swap an ally for one on the back row practically immediately without any penalty whatsoever. So if you need another one on the get-go, you can just swap it.
There we go.
Oh, good. That one's vulnerable to fire.
Yeah, the thing is, Jova, that's how it's from the appearance, I guess. You essentially need to learn about the enemy's elemental triangle weaknesses and resistance only by trial. And due to the fact that
I mean, some of them are pretty easy to guess. Like for the fire rocks, well, obviously they're weak to water.
Yeah, for example. But in others, it may not be so apparent. So I just roll with it and just use normal attacks, because even the bonus damage you get is not that much. Again, outside of when you're using the light element.
It's basically color coded of sorts. Like for example, there's going to be a boss later on that is basically 3 snakes. One is red, the other is blue, and the other is green. And you can probably guess just from the colors which elementals are powerful against them.
It's also essentially a test for... Basically, this game follows a very similar logic to Zelda, in a sense that, unlike in Zelda where you get an item in a dungeon that's specific for the boss, you essentially get a new party member that's mostly effective against the boss of the immediate next dungeon. And essentially the one of the elemental one is, you'll see your typical black mage with all the elemental spells.
Right.
I think in this particular location you can also get to a super boss, one of the super bosses.
Well, I wouldn't call it a super boss. It's pretty easy to
one of the giant enemies. Yeah, but essentially there are some... Well, yes, the boss theme once you find it. There are some enemies that are essentially giant swaps of the normal enemies. And they're a bit more tough, but they're only some selected cases, so I guess that's the game trying to make super bosses out of that.
Makes sense, I guess.
The game doesn't really have that much in terms of optional stuff. I mean, there are side quests, but they're the typical go fetch this kind of deal, or go kill X amount of monsters kind of deal, which works, which is fine, don't get me wrong. It's just that aside from the 3 you have to do to get a trophy, I usually don't bother with them because they don't really add anything worth of story. So
well, there is one that's always kind of heartwarming to me, where it's a bit later on in the game, a person actually asks Aurora to essentially, since this person, I'm not gonna spoil too much because it's tied to one of the locations. This person is very snobbish, and he thinks Aurora is not suited for thinking in an economical way, in a sense that she doesn't know too much how to make a profit out of anything. So this person gives her an apple, and he's like...
Well, that's not really her area of expertise.
Well, you'll be surprised,
Shiroi. She's supposed to be a queen, so...
And also you'll be surprised, Shiroi. This guy gives her an apple and say, okay, if you really want to prove this, take this apple and essentially turn it into gold and then come back. essentially it's a side quest where you need to trade items with people that are in need, and you eventually get up actually getting a bar or some nuggets of gold that you actually give back. And this guy is actually really impressed by both your empathy for these people and the fact that you have traveled all around the world in order to do so. So he compliments you essentially. That was always a bit charming, one of the charming side quests. The others, as Pedro said, are essentially minimal. Like there's one asking for you to find her pig. So, anyway, that's one of the things I was saying. One of the quote-unquote super bosses.
There you go.
It's essentially a more giant version of an enemy, but it functions the same.
Obviously, he has more HP and he's stronger, so it's gonna take a bit more to beat this guy. So let's bring
Pedro,
in...
go ahead. No, essentially what I was asking is, did you manually set the turn bar movement to a more slow pace?
I did? I don't think I... Is there even an option for that?
Well, in some RPGs with this is that it's like the battle speed kind of like option.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure I left the battle speed at the full.
Because I replayed the game recently since I discovered that having bought it for the PS3 was when it was cross-buy, so I got it also for the PS4 recently. When I turned on PS4, the bar moves much faster for everyone, essentially. The Dutchians are still at their own pace, but the pace of the bar in general for all the characters is more faster than this run that you're having.
Maybe I'll take a look at my settings next time. I'll see for myself. I don't remember messing with the settings though, so... It's good. It's really good that it's cross-buy. I just kind of wish it was also cross-save as well. One thing that I really like about Persona 5 is how both versions have cross-save. So you can transfer the save in between both versions if you want.
So, I noticed that you shined the light on this boss beforehand. You seem to do that with most of the enemies in the outfield.
Yeah, if you do it on the war map, the enemy will be stunned, but this means that as soon as you come in contact with them, while he's stunned or he's recovering, you will essentially ambush the enemy and you'll get an advantage on it. Essentially, you'll start, both your characters will start with an advantage on the turn bar down, while the enemies will always be at the very beginning, like way before you. This can happen in reverse if the enemy actually gets you from behind, and essentially it's the reverse. It's an ambush from the enemy and you start before, and they have the upper advantage.
So it sounds like the idea is to always do it in the overworld if possible. I mean, there doesn't seem to be a limit to it.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Iniquila's bar recharges automatically, and it doesn't take long to recharge at all. So use it away. It's pretty much the best way.
In case you need, you also have some items that actually recharge it instantly.
I never use them because...
Yeah, to be fair, I practically never used items in the game at all. The game bombards you with so many items about using battle, but outside of burn boosters, I never used them.
I do use them from time to time. I remember in the last boss battle, the last time I did use quite a bit of items. But yeah, true, it's not that big a deal.
Anyway, yeah, we got all the pieces.
Let the golem unify.
There it is. Complete with oh my god, it's Havel's 2 Dragon Club. I can grasp my club again.
Because that's what's important.
My whole life alone.
That's what he
Well,
said?
I needed no other.
Yet to form a man.
It's an idiom, I guess. Oh, okay. Yet to be made a man. A stone must be shaped by a sculptor. That it's a continuation.
So essentially, he needed someone to make it. Princess.
Aurora, please, sir.
Notice how in the crown it says faux, as in faux pas. For those who don't know what a faux pas is, Like when you say something that displeases someone, it's called a faux pas, and that's a little in joke for people
It's
who
an
know
interesting touch.
Yeah.
Especially considering she's supposed to be Austrian. Aurora, I offer my services.
I would not accept such a gift. I demur?
Well, we have to find a word that rhymes, so demure it is.
They are yours to do with as you wish.
Oh.
Well, wait, you're telling me that I bought the DLC and I don't get to keep this character? No.
What is this? I insist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about this? This
You must
guy was
beat me in
not
a children's
cut
card
out.
game.
This dude was not cut out and then put back in just for you to tell him to fuck off.
I know, right?
You accompany me into the palace's midst. Whatever.
She's trying to explain to him the dangers of coming with her.
On a visit to the Queen? Durr. Sounds mean. I'm keen.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
The golem has joined the party. Dun, dun, dun,
Yay.
dun, 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 dun. The moving request complete.
Could you
yeah,
imagine how mad?
It also counts as a side quest, so it's a really easy way to get at least one of the free side quests you have to do it if you at least get that trophy.
Can you imagine how mad people would have been if that whole side quest turned out to be a cock tease and he didn't come with us?
I think there is a game where
I spent money on this.
There is a game, I forgot which one, that has a DLC that essentially is a gigantic middle finger to whoever bought it, but I forgot all the details.
You mean Final Fantasy 13 too?
That's an easy joke, but what I'm saying is that there's an actual game that does that. Anyway, at least, surprisingly enough, the Golem is probably one of your best party member at your disposal. As you can imagine, he's a bit slow, but he has great attack power and defense. So it's really useful as a tank.
But of course.
Indeed. Like I said, I usually use them as a water elemental, so you'll be seeing them a lot of fighting fire monsters.
Weird that you can only have 2 party members, though.
Yeah, basically me and Pedro argued already about this.
So, like, can you constantly...
The game is already easy enough, to be fair. If we had 3 party members, this game would be basically a cakewalk, so honestly, I'm fine with the 2 party members. The battle system is already deep enough as it is. It doesn't need to... I mean, yeah, I guess it could be nice, but this is enough, if you ask me.
I personally find it too limiting, but oh well. I mean, okay, so I see that they don't let you, like, pick your party members on the fly, so I guess whenever you want a different one, you have to go in and out and then,
Yeah, actually, that's one thing. In order to switch party members, you have to do it in the battle. There's no actual switch party member screen in the pause menu.
Oh,
however,
wait, you do it in battle?
Yes. However, like Teo says, switching party members doesn't waste a turn. You can literally spend, like, a couple of minutes in the battle switching characters constantly, and that won't waste you any turn whatsoever. So it's not like it really matters.
And the game memorizes which party members you had the last time you had a battle, so it doesn't reset automatically with, say, Aurora and Rubella.
Did you ever see creatures like these?
A tree to the left, a boulder right.
No evil shall escape my sight?
Maybe. 300 years I stood watch. That's a long time. The courtyard was all in my sight.
There you go, Joe.
Yeah.
He's probably that spot is basically him thinking of what word would rhyme with right.
I haven't checked the complete English script because as I played the Italian version with the localized Italian version, which they did a very good job with all the rhymes and everything. So I'm asked, did at any point one of the characters actually fall into the trap of Orange?
I'm sorry, the trap of orange.
You know, trying to rhyme with orange.
Yeah, rule of thumb with rhyming. You cannot rhyme properly with the word orange.
Oh, I don't think so. Not that I remember, at least.
Look.
Healing tonic.
Yeah. Also, another thing, outside of the items, the game throws a shit ton of oculi at you. So if you want, so for you to craft anything, you don't need necessarily to farm enemies constantly here and there.
Not just that, but there's a shit ton of Oculi DLC. I actually have all of it.
Yeah. It's way similar to a microtransaction, but you don't really need it.
Not really, no. But I do still have it though because it's really it was really useful.
Yeah, and once again, the price is very minimal.
Not to mention there's one particular Oculi that is only available via a certain DLC download. So there's that. Let's see. Oh crap, Grove Spore.
No, well, it just makes aces, so that means it doesn't attack you. There we go.
So, if, say, your fellow party member is knocked out, then can you automatically swap him with another, or is that counted as a second party member out?
Unfortunately, no. You need to revive it first.
Okay, so say, like, one of your party members is low on health. Can you swap him out and then, you know, health reset?
No, but you cannot heal it while he's off screen. You need to heal it while he's on the field.
Alright. However,
and when you switch it back up, he or she will have the same amount of HP and MP by the end level. However, if in between battles he or she levels up, it will regain automatically all HP and MP.
Nice. And with the fact that you can pretty much swap them in and out at any time you wish.
Yeah, the XP. Yeah, the characters do gain XP even if they don't fight, so it's fine.
And again, I mean, like you said, you can swap them out in and out at any time you wish.
It makes sense, Pedro, because in every battle, it's your entire party use. Anyway.
Can it be a man made of stone?
Well, Rebella, we found weirder things before this, so it's not like it's...
Are your limbs heavy? How do you see?
Shh. Stop asking questions.
Rebella, it's a fantasy game. Roll with it.
I simply am the way I am.
Yeah.
In that makeup and costume, are you as free?
Oh my god,
is that a reference to Donnie Darko?
It's who I've chosen to be.
Oh, no,
oh my god,
Siak! Philosophical on us.
Oh my god, guys, Rebella managed to rhyme.
For me.
It is getting philosophical.
Silly, and how is that free?
Oh my god!
Ironic, he's getting philosophical with a supposedly jokester character, and a character who supposedly don't have any emotion.
Oh my god, guys!
Turning into an episode of Steven Universe.
Guys, she literally managed to do the rhyme without flubbing it.
Yay! Well, I guess it's only a thing that she has temporarily, occasionally.
Still though, first time for everything.
She let it slip.
Keep in mind those altars. They will be, well, Pedro doesn't show them, but they will be useful for one of the side quests.
No,
and it's an interesting thing. One of them actually has the Ubisoft logo on them, but it's way later on.
Goodness, really?
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, see you in part 4. Sorry.
See ya.
See ya.